You're listening to She's the Business podcast. Pretty much everybody visits your website before they decide to buy from you. So that's why it's so important to have a website that is a high converting site. So what makes a website a high converting site? Well, today's episode is all about the 7 top ways that you can turn your website into a client conversion machine. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. I just love a website with a great user experience, don't you? So do your clients. And that's why it's so important to make sure your website is finely tuned to provide your visitors with a really great online experience, because often this is the very first touch point they're having with your business. We want that first impression to be amazing. So I'm really pleased to bring with you an interview with Desiree Robards, who is the founder of Naked Digital Marketer, an organic digital marketing agency, and she really specializes in website creation. So Desiree is going to take us through the top 7 ways that we can tune our websites to be a higher converting site and really start making the most of the traffic that we're getting to our site, getting those people converted into leads and from there into clients. All right, I'm sure that's whet your appetite more than enough for this episode. So without further ado, let me play it for you. Hello, good afternoon. We are here today. I'm bringing you a really great interview with Desiree Robards, who is the founder of Naked Digital Marketer, which is an agency that she started all about organic marketing. So marketing without doing paid ads. Desiree is going to join me in a moment. She's built such an amazing business because she helps so many people with their website, and the website is really a key piece of your organic marketing. Just letting her in now. Of your organic marketing, what will you call it? The pieces of the puzzle of your organic marketing, because in order to be found by people, you need a great website that is search friendly and that people can find when they are looking for you. But it's not just about them finding it. It's also about them taking that next step and booking in a call with you and converting them through to the next stage of the customer journey. So that's what we're here to talk about today. Really excited. Thanks for joining, Desiree. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thanks for having me. You'll have to excuse me. I'm not feeling very well, and I had a really bad sleep last night, so I look a bit like that. But just have to push through.
Well, we can't tell from where we're sitting. You look fine to me. So thanks for coming on today. I know that lots of people are really interested in this topic, and I think now that we are online more than ever, our businesses are online, everybody is looking for stuff online, especially when we're in lockdown, because that's the only place that we can be. Your website is more critical than ever. And I started working with websites back in the early 2000s, even late 90s, and I know that back then they were really an online brochure. It was like, here is our company, this is who we are, and this is what it's about. There was a contact form. That was pretty much it. Whereas these days, you look at a website, and a really great functional website is your first. It's the first contact that most people have with you. It's like they're your 24/7 salesperson, because that is where someone might find you and decide really quickly if you're the one for them. Should they even bother reading further? Should they bother making contact with you? So the website plays a pivotal role in our business and marketing our sales funnels. So I'm going to hand over to you, and you're going to share with us your 7, the best ways, I guess, to increase conversions, because I'm sure that, you know, there probably are way more than 7, but we'll start with the 7 that everybody should know about and be thinking of.
Sure, and everything you've just highlighted is absolutely true. You know, gone are the days that, you know, you just have that presence, whereas now it's, you know, what can your website do for you without relying on you to be actually there, so that the person can take the next step and, you know, book a call, use your calendar to book a call with you, or purchase your product or a service off your website without actually having to speak to you. And, you know, if you don't have your website and it's not being found in search engines, then they're going to find the next person, your competitor, who does have all of those things. And so it's an easy choice for them to make, you know, have someone that makes it so easy to get in touch with them. So some of the things I'm going to highlight is 7, but within that 7 points, there are lots of little things as well. So it's even hard to just narrow down to 7, because there's so many aspects to a website that you can work on and improve. So I'll start with the first one, which is the value proposition. And a lot of websites I see miss this part, which is so essential. It's basically when someone lands on your website, you know, you have 3 seconds to make that impression so that they understand at first glance who you are, what you're offering, and whether you can help them, and even a point of contact. Yeah. So when someone lands without even scrolling or clicking around, you know, do you have that information clearly displayed so they're not guessing and having to scroll and click around to try and find out what you're offering and how they ended up there. So an example would be a great first image, whether it's a product or yourself. If you're a service-based business, then try and have your face front and center, because you are your brand usually. If you're a one-person show running a service-based business, you are your brand. And that's the first thing people connect with, a person that's behind the business. So have that as the first main image, and then a tagline or a summary of usually one line of what you can do, how you can help them, and either a button to contact you, or have, you know, some people have their social media icons or a contact us button right at the top, or the email situated right at the top. So without even, you know, thinking, they already know who you are, what you look like, and whether they actually want to engage with you much further than that. So don't miss that opportunity.
Yeah, I think a really key thing is that people can, you know, straight away tell whether this is something that's relevant to them as well, because they might have clicked through from Google search or wherever they've come from and found your website, but they've still got that question mark, you know, is this relevant for me? Is this business, you know, do they work with me? So it's not even just about who you are, but it's actually more so about them. Like, is there something that's going to help them to think, yep, this is what I'm looking for. I'm ready to read more. I'm ready to spend a bit more time here.
Absolutely. The next point that I have is copywriting, which means the words that go onto your website. Another thing that's often skipped by people who, especially those who DIY their own websites, and it's totally fine to DIY your website, but there are certain things you can do to really help you build a website that gets found organically. So the purpose of copywriting is two main purposes. One is to, you know, tell their story, have your brand personality, so someone who's reading it can understand easily what you're offering, how you can help them, you know, the tone of voice, and go, yep, that's exactly why I clicked through to the website, and this is why I'm here, this is why I need you. But the other big purpose of it is to actually have the keywords that Google can then match it up to someone who's searching for that service or product that you're offering, or the problem that you're solving. So if you have blogs as well, then that's where copywriting kicks in with the SEO keywords that and phrases as well that people are literally typing into Google to bring up your website. Of course, you can pay for ads to drive that traffic there, but you want to build your website so it's working actually harder organically. And the way to do that is to have enough word content on each page. And then there's also, you know, Google's checklist of what they actually require from you. So things like each page should have a minimum of 300 words. And that sounds like a lot, but if you section it well and you have your proper headings and titles, and you lay it out in different sections, it's easier for someone to digest rather than one whole paragraph or one whole block of text.
So that's one of the things I think that's changed a lot from, even say 10 years ago. We used to have a lot of websites that were flash-based sites, and people would say you have to have everything above the fold so that people don't have to scroll. So there was a lot more pages, the sites were a lot deeper and a lot less scrolling, and therefore a lot less content per page. Whereas now the scroll is great because people are on mobile, and on mobile they are scrolling. They prefer to scroll than to be clicking through pages because it's not as easy to navigate through a site on mobile as it is on your desktop. So, I think that is a real shift, and I've, still see some people who have that mentality of, I've got to have everything above the fold and that people won't scroll. It's like, no, guys, everybody scrolls. Put the content in the page. Don't be afraid. There really isn't too much content in a page as long as it's relevant and it's making sense and it's flowing through, keep adding that content in, because Google loves a really content-rich website, and those pages that have, upwards of 1,000 to 2,000 words on them, much better than having a page with even just 300.
And a simple exercise that I ask people to do is think about 10 to 15 keywords that someone might be typing into Google to find a website like theirs or find a service that they're providing. And out of those words, how many of them are actually present in the website? So if they're not actually present on the website, then it's time to rethink how you can sort of rejig your content so that you can fit in these keywords. But then there comes the skill that, so that it doesn't look like an Alibaba or eBay ad, that you're just putting keywords in there, that you're actually telling, it makes sense to a normal person reading it, that you're trying to attract. So that's where the brand personality and actually conveying your information in an easily digestible way. So if you don't have that skill, it's totally fine. I can't think of anything worse than sitting there and trying to write copy. So I have my copywriters do my website and blogs as well. So it's something you can easily outsource, but definitely worth investing, because you can also use that content across lots of different platforms like your emails, your social media bios and things like that. So that's copywriting. The next one I wanted to mention is the user experience. The number of websites I've come across where someone has designed it, or the business owner has designed it because that's how they like the look of it and how they would use it. They brain dump, they dump all the information out of their head and onto their website, and they're not actually thinking about how their potential customer is actually going to digest that information or use the website or click around. How can they find the information that might seem second nature to the business owner, but someone who's knows they need a service but doesn't quite understand yet, how would they use the website to get that information? So really thinking about how that user is going to be using the website. Firstly, even just what device they're more likely going to be using. Is it a mobile? Is it a desktop? Is it a tablet? And all of this information you can get for free if you have your Google Analytics connected to your website. And then thinking about how your menu is displayed. Is it quite clear and not just having lots of buttons on there because for the sake of having a menu. So, having your home page, your about page, your services, and then do you have sub pages under your services? Keep it nice and neat, and that it makes sense to someone who doesn't understand anything that you are offering at the moment, but they can easily click around, and also between the pages to have inter-page links as well. So they don't always have to go back to the main menu.
Yeah, this was such a big one. I remember when I used to work in corporate, a lot of companies wanted to design their website the way that the company was structured. So they want to have like departments as sections of the website. And I'm like, guys, that's internal knowledge. No one else is looking at your business that way. They are coming looking for what they're looking for. So we've got to order the website in the way that makes sense to the external person who's coming in, thinking, well, where would I find information about this? And rather than how we structure it internally, which is nothing, it's not relevant to anybody else. And it was so funny to try to get people to take this shift because they just didn't understand it. But you're right, the user experience is really critical. If people can't find what they're looking for quickly and easily, they are just going to leave. They give up. Yeah. People have no patience these days. So it needs to be user-friendly and that it's intuitive. Some of the really basic stuff that I see a lot of people get wrong are things like links and buttons and call to actions being in different colors. And, you might think it looks nice having a button in another color here, another color here, but these are key signposts for your user. So when you have a consistent color for all your call to actions, it's really easy for them to see, oh yeah, I need to click there or I need to click here. So often there's links buried in text, and maybe, sometimes you get a default formatting setting these days without an underline on a link, but then there's not much of a color variation between the standard text and the link text. It's like, well, how is anyone expected to know that that's a link unless you're making it really clear? So it's that kind of stuff where you've got to think no one's sitting there reading every single word. They're not going through your site in the detail that you are. They're scanning it, trying to find what they're trying to get out of it as quickly as they possibly can. So you've got to make it easy for them and make that stuff stand out. And that is taking your usability of your website up to the level that's going to help you convert more people.
Yeah, so it comes down as well to the font. So this one affects your Google rankings organically. So if Google thinks that your website is too slow, then it's not going to prioritize your website over any other website that's there. So things like, making sure that you actually optimize your images before you upload them. So don't upload them and try to change the size while it's up on the website, because it's still taking up space. Any images that you replace and you're not using, delete them because they're taking up space on your website as well. And just constantly testing that against different free testing websites like gtmetrics.com and Google's page speed insights. So doing that every now and again just to make sure you're on top of that. And you might have uploaded a PDF to download and stuff like that, and that might have been a very large file. So see how you can optimize that before you upload. And then one more thing with the user experience as well is the responsiveness. So it might look good on a desktop, but it might not work very well on a mobile. So don't just check on your mobile, use other people's mobile. So if you have an iPhone, try and get a Samsung. iPads and different types of iPads, different orientation as well, portrait and landscape. Don't just rely on the computers or the program's mobile version, because it might look different against different devices. That is so important, and also something that is picked up on by Google and penalized if you're not, if someone's constantly pinching and zooming to read the text on your website or to look at the images, that all gets picked up by Google. I don't know how, but that's just how the algorithms and stuff work. The next, just really bearing in mind, it's not just you and your laptop and your phone. There are many other devices out there that you need to cater for and make sure you build your website to be responsive that way.
Yeah, I think one of the things that can trip up people sometimes as well is if you're uploading an image that's got text on it. That's been a really common one, probably less so now. I think people are getting used to having text in HTML itself, but an image with text on it, then the actual whole image is resizing for the mobile view. And so if it looks great on desktop, but you just need to check, is this image still working on a mobile? Can people even read it? Because when it's resized into the mobile screen, it may be too small for someone to read that text. And that's where you can do something really simple, like having two sections for that piece and having one that's visible on desktop and another one with a different formatted image. If you have to have text on that image, but I always try to say, please put your text in the HTML. You can have one for mobile, one for desktop on the same page, and just have them made visible for the right device, so that you can still have a great experience there. But yeah, that's something I think a lot of people mistakenly don't realize is happening when they build their site.
Yes, so they aim for more of a pretty looking website on a desktop as opposed to how it actually functions across other devices. So the text and the image is not just that, whether it's being resized properly, but also if you're not using image alt text properly, then Google can't look at the image and go, oh yeah, I can read and understand that's a woman wearing a hat and that's what the words say. It can't unless you have that text behind the image in image alt text, which I'll talk about shortly. So try and not upload too many photos with images with text on them, because it's a lot more work to try and get Google to understand, and also for it to be optimized on different devices.
Yeah.
My next point is going to be about the customer journey, so the user journey. Again, this comes down to how you're displaying your content and where you're placing them and how your menu looks. Basically, things like how many clicks does it take to actually find your contact details? How many clicks does it take to view that product that you've mentioned on your homepage? You really want to make it as less clicks as possible to actually have that sale or make that next action, which is, if you wanted to book your calendar and things like that. So don't just bury things. A lot of people do things like their about page is hidden in the footer somewhere, whereas, a lot of us are small business owners and we can't afford to hide our about pages. People want to connect with that small business owner, so keep it up in the menu, the top menu, and things like that. So think about how many clicks it takes to make that sale or make that next step, and also how buried is your content that you actually want people to find? Are you making it easy for them to locate that information?
We've got a question here. Somebody's asked, how often should you change the layout of a site?
Hi, Rachel. We're very close to launching Rachel's Shopify store.
Awesome.
How often should you change the layout of a site? So this comes in, I guess you call it a redesign as well. So I would say on average is about every 2 to 3 years, sometimes 2 years. Sometimes less if someone has started out on a budget in the beginning and then they've, made enough profit to reinvest in the business, and then they feel like they can afford a proper brand, some good photos and stuff like that, and then they take that opportunity to change the website. So it really depends on what stage of the business cycle you are, and also how you started. If you bootstrapped in the beginning but now have the funds to invest in it, but I would say on average about 2 to 3 years a refresh, just because you might have loyal customers coming back, and it would be nice to have a fresh look without doing a total rebrand. You can keep your branding the same, but it's just a bit of a facelift for your website.
And I think it's often, more about, is the site really functioning? And if it's not functioning well, then it could be partly the layout that could be contributing to the lower conversions. So I'd say, there's no one hard or fast rule for that, but it's really looking at your situation and how your site is looking. Sometimes certain layouts get quite dated, and there might be some newer trends that are coming in that are more user-friendly, something that we've, innovated on and brought in. And you might think, well, this is a great time for me to, give my site a little refresh and implement some of these better layout features that can help improve, like the customer journey, like you're saying, help people to find their way faster and easier. So I think there's a bit of, is your site feeling old and clunky, and is it not functioning? Then potentially your layout and your refresh would help with that a lot.
I do have a blog that it says when is it time to redesign your website. So
okay, go and have a look at that.
Yeah, and part of it says about the functionality. If you feel like it's not you're not able to add the functionality that you want, it's probably a time to upgrade maybe the theme or your website platform as well. So a lot of people on Shopify start out with a free theme and they find it very limiting, and then after a couple of years they need to change the theme to a paid theme. So things like that.
Great.
My next point, so that was just point number 4, customer user journey. I've got my list in case I go off track.
Yeah, I've been noting them down so I remember them too.
The next one, you've kind of touched on it before, is calls to action. I have people who are really good at writing blogs, which is great. And then what happens is you get to the bottom of the blog and it just ends, it just finishes. Whereas, a good practice would be to say, here's how we can help you. So, you might have to be facing that same situation, but this is how we can help you. Book a time to chat with us, or here's that suitable product or service that will actually solve this whole problem. Give them that next step, what next action they should be doing. So this should be applied to across the website. So you get to the bottom of your about page. So they've read it and they go, yeah, actually, I think this person is right for me. And then if you just end it there, so this is all about me, and then that's it, then we're kind of very simple people. We kind of need to be told what step I need to do next.
Yes.
Just make it really easy for them to book in with you, or submit a form, or send you an email. And then it also comes down to how consistent you are with the calls to action. Like you mentioned before, don't just change the buttons or the style of it, so that as they're browsing across the site, they know that next step is that button, or that call to action box color or the photo that comes with it is the action that I need to take next.
Absolutely. And I love this topic. This is something very close to my heart. I think the About page is actually a sales page in your website that most people don't even realize is a sales page. You absolutely leverage that content, because although it is about you and your business in a way, it's actually about your customer kind of going, is this the right person for me? And a really natural thing to have on that at the end is the next step that they should take. Like, what should they do now? Where do they go next? So decide what's relevant for you and your business, but give them the next step so that they're not just left hanging at the bottom of the page. Likewise with blogs, as much as having a call to action is there, I even like to take a step further with the blog and think about what is the purpose of the blog before I even start writing it. Do I have something that I would like people to do next, whether it's downloading a freebie or whatever that next thing is that I'd like, that then the blog is setting them up to actually want to take that step. So it's not even just providing something that's there, but the whole blog is giving them the reason why and creating demand for it, so that you do get a much higher converting call to action. If it's on a freebie, you're getting subscribers because they really, really want it after reading the blog. So, I think it's just about, when you're doing these things, having that thought, what is the next step that I want people to think do once they have had this, and building that in. So kind of reverse engineering it into whatever it is that you're writing about. It has a lot more impact, and, you definitely will help to improve conversions when you do it that way.
Yeah, and like you said, if there's a lead magnet, so something that people can sign up to get a freebie, you could write a blog that addresses some of the pain points that someone who might need, use that ebook or PDF or checklist help you with those solutions as a solution to all those problems that I've identified in this blog. So it's definitely a great call to action. Again, the next step, is it to download that PDF? Is it to book in a time with you? Is it to buy that product that you've mentioned? Tell us what we need to be doing at the end of the page. And you can also split it up between sections, of course. So if it's like, for example, on the home page, you have different sections, like, a little bit about the business, and have a button to read more about on the about page. All of these are also, internal links are favored by Google, because you're interlinking your different pages within your website. Point number 6 is about social proof. And I think a lot of us struggle to talk about ourselves in a positive light, and that's totally normal. But sometimes we need to display any trust, so badges, and to build the trust, and any affiliations that we might have that will build our credibility, so that someone goes, oh, okay, that's pretty high up there in that field. And she's accredited with that. So, that's probably, and that's not an easy accreditation to get. So, it all adds to your credibility. So things like for service-based business, if you've done any courses, any certificates, any affiliations to academies that you might be a part of, or, for example, virtual assistants might have, like the Australian Virtual Assistants Academy. association, then all of that, they should have the badges that you can, or logos that you can put to display on your homepage and about page at least. So when someone's reading all about you on your about page and they can see all these badges and they go, oh yeah, that's not someone that's just come off the street and started a business. They've actually done a bit of work to boost their portfolio as well. Things like, so have that displayed, and if you can, as consistent as possible. So, a lot of them come in different colors and shapes and styles. So if you can kind of make them grayscale and the same size, and display them nicely on your website so it doesn't overtake. So it's kind of discreetly there. And if people who want that affirmation and, put some weight onto those accreditations, then they're there for them to see. So the other way of doing that as well is just to make sure that you are connected in all of your Google websites. So like Google My Business, because then that will allow you to collect reviews on Google. So make sure so Google My Business is free for any business. Sign that up so that when someone's searching and comparing you, they can read your Google reviews. And also make sure your Facebook reviews are turned on. And I think a lot of people are afraid of getting one possible negative review. Don't be afraid of that possible that might never ever come. People are smart enough to read more than one review and make up their mind. Sometimes they are aware there are crazy people that just love leaving complaining about, there's always one person you cannot please. So don't put that off, put you off turning on your reviews.
Definitely.
It does add a lot of, helps people make a decision whether they want to hire you or not.
Yes. And I think that, bringing that through onto your website as well, even though you might feel like, well, I've got those reviews on my Facebook page or on my Google, don't make people work hard to find the information that's going to help them to make a decision and to convert faster. If you can bring those through and put them on your website, that really adds a lot more social proof, and it's in someone else's words. It's not you saying it. So that's a great thing to have. Even if you've like links for PR that you've been involved in, articles, podcast episodes, you can link all those up on your website. So you can have, as seen in, or, whatever it is there with the logos and actually link them through. Like on my website, I've got a section there where, the media that I've appeared in, and where there's an article or a podcast, that's all linked. So you can actually go and listen to that episode or read the article. Which again, it really helps if someone's trying to have a really thorough look at what you've done and what you say, then it's all there and it's easily accessible. But I think as well, if I can add a little tip with the testimonials, often when someone writes a review for you, they are writing it in, the goodness of their heart, and they often say really lovely things, but they don't always say the most important thing at the very top of the review. So, what I really like to do is to pull out, if there's a punch statement or something that's really powerful, pull that out and make that the heading of the review, as opposed to making their name the heading, because unless it's their mum or sister or someone who knows them, the name is kind of a bit irrelevant. Have the actual punchline as the heading, and then have the review and, their name as at the bottom. So, don't feel like you have to only have it in the exact format that they have provided it to you. It's there, it's printed in, in Facebook or wherever, but you can adjust it and make that testimonial a much stronger message on your website just by doing a little bit of formatting with it.
That's a really good point. And this is why I don't like when clients ask me to put automatic feeds for Facebook and Google reviews, because you don't really have much control over that. As opposed to letting that come into Facebook and Google, but then you can copy and paste and even edit if there's typos and things like that, without changing the message. You can definitely, you don't even have to have the whole paragraph, because sometimes they can write, a lot, which kind of throws off the way your website testimonial section looks. So getting the punchy line is definitely much more beneficial than having the entire chunk hooked in there. My last, and if I had to finish off, my last point is on-site SEO. Yeah. So there are lots of things within the website that you can do to really boost your search engine optimization, or SEO. So I mentioned things like the copywriting. So making sure you have enough text that has good keywords in there and phrases in there that people are literally searching for. Having your image alt text. So every image that you put on your website is searchable on Google. However, Google cannot look at the image and go, oh, okay, I understand totally what that's a cat, sitting behind a laptop or whatever.
Yeah.
But what it can read is the image alt text that goes in the back end of the website. So there's two purposes for image alt text. The main one is actually for visual impaired users. So they actually have a screen reader that describes the images to them. And then the other purpose is obviously for search engines to read what it's displaying. So I would use that quite often.
And it also brings you up in search results as well.
Yeah.
Like, so with your images, it means that you've got another potential position that you can appear in the search results page, because Google will show images that are relevant to the search as well. And it's really interesting when you've had your site for a while and you look at your analytics to see how many people are actually coming through from an image search or through images, image results, as opposed to even just the normal text search results. And I used to get quite a lot of traffic actually from the images because they were really well optimized. So it's definitely something not to miss out on, because it gives you another spot on that search results page, which means you've got more of that real estate that's coming to your website.
Yeah, and it is a very easy thing to miss. So, but there are apps and plugins that you can put onto your website that automatically syncs the image name and maybe your business name at the end every night. So it can be a set and forget thing as long as you name your images well. So not just like taking off pixels or unsplash.
Or some random number with a letter.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually renaming the images. Yeah, I think there's so many layers that you can go into, isn't there, with all of this, and that's actually a really good one to get in the practice of doing for your website, but also content that you're loading up to YouTube. Again, YouTube is a search engine. Same with Pinterest. Really make sure that you're labeling the files that you're loading up, because that is all part of the searchable content that's going into these huge machines, I guess, is what they really are in the background.
Yep. And then, so one more thing with the on-site SEO is to, there are plugins that you can do. So if you're on WordPress, you can install something called Yoast or Rank Math, that will help you to just elevate your content. So it'll guide you like a traffic light system. Whether you need to fluff up your content a little bit more, use your keyword a bit more, it'll help you to improve your content for SEO. And also to make sure that it's on Shopify, you can do your on-page data. So the metadata, which is every page, every product, every collection, and every blog will have at the bottom of the page. So using that to make sure it's not just copying the first paragraph of your product descriptions, but making sure that it is something that people are searching for, because that's what comes up in search engines. So SEO is probably a whole other day's worth of a chat, but so these are just simple things that if you haven't already been considering, then these are simple things that you can start considering and fixing up on your website.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're really great. I think each of those, I guess you could really expand on even more, but you can start to see even from this short chat that we've had in these seven sort of things that you can do to really increase conversions, that there is so much more to a website than what meets the eye. And I guess that's why someone might come to somebody like you, Des, and just be like, okay, I know my site isn't working very well for me, but what should we do? Like, is it ready for a whole complete refresh, or is there something that we could do just to optimize it and maybe, change a little bit of the design and apply some new layout features and things like that could actually take a huge lift. You can be surprised how much you could change the look and feel of a website even without doing a complete rebuild. So what would you say, like, what are the key things that someone should be thinking about, or looking at their site and thinking, okay, I think I need to go to that next step and then really get some help to uplift it?
That's a great question. And there are a few discussions at the moment on Facebook about, how much is a website, and some people that's going mind blown. I don't know why it's so expensive. you know, and you have people saying, I built mine myself and I built it in a day, so easy. Yes, you know, you can have a website that's built in a day, but that website is probably just sitting there and you're having to pay thousands of dollars for ads to try and get people to find your website or come to your website. So having a website that's actually built for conversions and being found in search engines is a whole other ballgame. And, you know, that's all the things that I discussed here, or some of the things that I discussed here today. So one of the things I would say is if you look at your website and there's not enough words on there, you feel like the keywords are not there, you don't know how to fit that in without looking like an Alibaba ad, then that's definitely something to consider. For me, the copy drives the design. I don't design a website and then try and fit the words in. We write the words first and then we go, okay, how can we best display the words and section them so they're not just all lumped together. So if there is one thing that you do, I would say is review your copywriting and invest in that, because that will change your design quite a bit in order to meet that minimum 300 words on each page as well.
Yeah.
And then if you feel like your brand is a bit tired, you're probably thinking about investing in new photography, professional photography. Some people do a brand refresh as well. Then that's a good time to then follow through with your website redesign as well, because your website will tie all of that in together and really be the one spot for where your brand can shine and for you to shine. I would say those are the two main things. If your brand needs a lift and your copy needs a lift, but also if you feel like that you might be getting traffic and people are not taking the next step, the conversion is not there, then that's probably a time to redesign your website, because something's just not working. That's converting them.
And I think, you know, an easy way to find out if that's what's happening is in your Google Analytics, you know, go in and have a look at your bounce rate. You know, have a look at your overall site bounce rate, but you can even drill down to per page and see what's happening. Are people arriving on your site and leaving again straight away? Because if they are, then you know that there's definitely something critical wrong. You know, and if you've got traffic that's coming, like, I've got traffic and then there's nothing happening, you're not getting signups, you're not getting purchases or sales, then again, you know that, okay, I've got the people there, but I'm not converting them. So, you know, that could be a great time to come to an expert and say, right, what are we going to do with my website? How can I convert these people better? And it's probably going to be more than just one thing. There'll be lots of factors at play, which is, you know, a lot of these 7, you know, the top things that you can do to optimize your website that we've spoken about today. So, yeah, that's really great. And so Desiree works with lots of WordPress sites and Shopify sites, is that right? And so both service and product-based businesses, and you do custom builds, and do you also take an existing site and give it a refresh as well?
Yes, I call that the zhooshing. I think our biggest selling service would be zhooshing up websites. So people who have already been in business for a couple of years and feel like they need to level up. So definitely just WordPress and Shopify. We just feel like that's the two best platforms to be on board on. And we do have a starter package if you're brand new to business and you just need to get a presence on. But then we also have our custom websites where we really take you through the whole process and strategy and guidance and lots of consultations in order to get a website that is, you know, really different to any other websites that you might have and just customized to your business itself in terms of functionality. I also do a lot of training and workshops and one-to-one sessions. So whether it's a WordPress website or a Shopify, or even organic marketing, I do love teaching small businesses to try and DIY or just understand a bit more so they know if they were to invest or outsource with someone else, what they should be looking for, asking for, and not getting taken for a ride.
Great.
So I think just having the understanding helps you to save a lot of dollars in the end.
Definitely. Absolutely. All right. And if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best place to do that?
I think a lot of people know me from Facebook. I am in a lot of Facebook groups. So I also have a Facebook group called Organic Digital Marketing, where I have similar guest speakers come on, like yourself, Jess. You've been on there. So we share our knowledge with Aussie small business owners to try and DIY or improve their own marketing on their websites. And just a place for the small businesses to hang out, because a lot of us usually experience similar situations but don't really discuss our problems. But we're all going through the same things. So yeah, I would say Facebook is where you can find me, especially in the Facebook group, Organic.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for that great content that you've provided. I think there's been a lot of takeaways from that, and hopefully everybody who joined us on the live has at least gone away with something that they can go and implement straight away. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me again.
Yes, no problem. Okay, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Do you know what the number one challenge reported by the women joining my Facebook community, My Tribe, said that they were struggling with their marketing in 2021, and in fact, even in 2020 as well? And that was exactly how they should reach their ideal client. How do they even get in front of them in order to build their audience in the first place? That was it. And it wasn't a pick and mix. I didn't give them that answer. It was a free text question. So they could write in there anything they wanted at all. And the number of times that I saw somebody say, how to create awareness, how to get in front of my ideal client and build my audience. So many people just challenged by it. And why is that when there's such an abundance of ways that we can get in front of the ideal client? And I think it's probably that is exactly it. It's so overwhelming, isn't it? What should you do? What should you choose? What are the best ways? Whatever it is that you're doing right now might not be working. And I think it's a great time to sit back, reflect, and figure out what's the right way for you to do it. What are the ways that you're going to reach your prospective clients in 2022? So if that sounds like you, if that might have been what you wrote down in the questions on what is your biggest challenge with your marketing currently, then you're going to absolutely love the new freebie that I've just put together for you. It's called 12 Brilliant Ways to Reach Your Ideal Client. And in it, I share with you the 12, in my view, 12 top ways that you could use in your marketing plan this year to reach a bigger, broader audience in order to attract those ideal clients in to your inner circle, into your, really well-defined audience and become real leads for you. So if you'd like to get your hands on this brand new freebie, then all you need to do is go to jessicaosborne.com/12 ways. So it's 12 ways. Very easy. You can download it there, and this is a little bit of a great resource for your planning, for the planning of the new year. See what you're going to change up. What is it that you maybe haven't been doing that you could be doing? And what are those things that you've been doing and they're not very effective, and maybe you're going to drop them out of your plan this year? So please head over, grab the freebie. If you want the link, that it's in the show notes, and let's get you moving on up, having more success with your marketing in 2022.